Hi, I'm Joe Danyi, and welcome to Youngstown Studio. I'm an entrepreneur, an investor, a business development coach, and a huge dreamer. You may have heard me before on radio with the Youngstown Computer Show or the Bottom Line Business Show. I love helping people, and I have built service into all of my ventures. I am fascinated with how things work. Let me tell you a story. When I was a kid, my grandfather had given me a pocket watch, a mechanical pocket watch. And it was only a couple hours before I had the back taken off of the watch, and I was inspecting the insides to see if I could figure out how a mechanical watch worked. This example didn't go well because I couldn't get the thing back together again. I really dug into it and took the springs out and took some of the mechanisms out. So I put it in a Tupperware container and I ducked it in the back of a cabinet because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble for ruining this pocket watch. But it stuck with me. I've always gravitated towards looking at the insides of things, and it's more fascinating than the polish and the exteriors and the aesthetics of things. I want to know how things work. I had no idea that Girard hosted a robotics and manufacturing automation company right on Main Street in Girard. And I would have never known had Youngstown Computer, one of my companies, not been hired to do their IT services. But when I was there, I got to poke around at all of the projects that they were working on. They were making these big gearing systems, and they had a 3D printer that were building components to create these devices that would aid in the manufacturing process. And I was just blown away that I lived in Girard my entire life, and I had no idea that we hosted such a dynamic company. So I'm going to go behind the scenes, and I'm going to take you with me and show you all the fascinating things that we normally don't get to see. So let's start with our first reel. This episode has been brought to you by Youngstown Computer, the Valley's technology company. Call 330-259-7278. We are here for all of your technology needs. 330-259-7278, or you can find us at youngstowncomputer.com or on Facebook, Facebook/Youngstown Computer. Okay, here we are. This is episode number 1. With me in the studio here is Aspasia from Penguin City Brewing. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. So I want to take sort of the viewers through where the brewery originated. This wasn't like was this a small scale idea that kind of grew up over time, or did you guys go gangbuster and go large scale right off the bat?
I feel like we thought big from the beginning. Okay. Like even when we were operating out of our garage, I just was like, we have to think big. So it was always thinking big. Maybe that's what got us to where we are, like just that mindset. But yeah.
Okay, well, what take us through what the first iteration looked like. You said garage.
Yes.
What's the setup like?
The garage we had the beer in the garage. Like we got approved with the state when we started that our back room was a little production facility. Our garage was where we stored the beer. My kitchen table was where Angel, who our office admin is, like she would come and do, the orders. And so it was seriously like a garage, started out. Like the drivers would come in the morning, get their orders, load up the truck, go. So it was all out of our house.
That's amazing. So like, I imagine the first thing you probably did was you kind of made your own batches for yourself, and then you started giving out to friends, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
So take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, like Richie, he worked with Greg from the pump house. Like he was a really good guide, like helped him kind of, taught him the fundamentals of brewing and how to do it. And then from there he started, doing it in his backyard, and then like giving it to friends, giving it to neighbors.
Test this out for me.
They were our test market. Our neighbors, I would have to say our neighbors were our test market. I was always fascinated by my neighbors every day coming home with a case or 12 or a case of Busch Light. My one neighbor was upset, like that's all he drank, and I would just sit there just kind of thinking, what makes him get that Busch Light every, after work? Like, why is that? Like, why? So I was always just fixated on that, and just like, that's what we should do. Like, we need to find that beer that people, that's what they want to drink, like every day when they come home from work. Like, that's the beer that they want to crack open. So just like watching my neighbors and what they drank and, just what they were loyal to was kind of what drew us to focusing on one beer, like, one product, one beer, and pushing that, to try to get that. And then, everything else will follow after that.
So did you hit a iteration of the formula where that's the one that's going to be hit big?
Yeah, I think he probably brewed about 12 beers, 12 of Penguin City, until he finally, well, actually, he still would probably say I still could keep going. Like, we finally had to stop him. We're like, this one's good. It's okay. You did it. Like, you did it. It's fine. And then that was what we went with. So it was about 12 test runs.
And so after the garage, what did it grow up into next?
Then we moved into the B&O. And that was the train station downtown. It's like a banquet hall. They have a little bar, the Boxcar. They have a little brewery set up that was where Rust Belt Brewery used to be. So we leased that space from them, and we were in there for about a year.
You started appearing in grocery stores, appearing in bar restaurants, and was it something that someone had to go in the streets and knock on doors and try to get people in that way? Yeah,
that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, I was doing sales. So, what we did, honestly, Richard and I we made a list of every bar that we knew, we were friends with, had a connection with. I don't know if this is good or bad, but we had like a list of almost like 150, 200 bars and restaurants that like just like family or that we frequented or just throughout the years of us just being in this area. So we hit all those places first, like everybody that we knew that worked or owned or whatever. And that's how we did it. And then from there, once we got in all those places, then I would just go into different, ones that I didn't know, grocery stores. And then after that, like people also started calling us too, like getting, Giant Eagle reached out to us when they, started hearing about it. Mark's reached out to us. Like most of the grocery stores we didn't contact, they contacted us. So nice. From there, it just kind of just kept going. So that's kind of what our formula was, just get it as many places as possible.
All right, so the new location, how did you come by the building that you guys are in right now?
That was, honestly, when we first started, I always kind of eyed that building. The warehouse. It's massive because I'm from Camel. So if I was ever, going to Camel or going to the east side, I always went that way. Right. So I always passed that building. And, even other people called us when we started Penguin and they said like, man, that would be the perfect spot. But I thought someone bought it. Like I remember there was something in the Business Journal about someone that was buying it. So I just kind of thought that it was off the table. So I just never thought of it. But just like kind of, that'd be cool to have like a warehouse like that. And then during COVID, I was at a United Way kind of fundraiser dinner, and I was with Lisa Resnick, who does real estate, and she was just like telling her just about we need to grow, we need to find something else, like we need, our facility's not big enough. And then she was like, well, that building's available, and we were just thinking, really? So she was like, yeah, you want to look at it? And we looked at it 2 days later, and I don't know, I remember opening the door and seeing that warehouse, and I just knew it.
Really?
Yeah.
For a minute.
When I opened the door, I was like, I have to figure out how to get this building. So it was like, for 3 months, it was me just trying to talk my family and like, this is the move. This is the place. We need to invest in this building, and it's going to be, just the impact it's going to have. So it was a lot of bringing my family repeatedly into the building, like, look at the vision. My cousin Anissa was the architect. She did drawings for it. So it was like, come on, guys, this is it. This is the place. So then finally everybody agreed to pursue it. So that's
and when you walked in the first time, was it pretty rough inside, or did you have to do a lot to it to begin?
The shell was, like, when you go into the tap room, the shell's the same as when we saw it. It was just us adding, the tap room, the bathrooms, the brewery, equipment, everything else. It's what it is. We just power washed. We had power wash crews come in and clean it really well, which was all the dirt and dust. And that was pretty much it. We didn't touch anything in there, which is nice because, I like that we didn't change anything. We just added our stuff to it. I love our address. My cousin did it. I don't know. I just wanted something big, metal, just that. My cousin, my family, they have another business called Metalcraft in Youngstown, and they do all metalwork, design, fencing, railing, all that. So he did that for me, and I absolutely love it. I think that looks so cool.
It is. It does look cool. So Youngstown Clothing Company, friends?
Oh yeah, that was from boxing. We partnered with them for boxing night. So I just like their logo. We just kept it up. It's fun. I like all the banners in the back. It's fun. And then
that's what I love most is you have so many cooperatives with so many other businesses. You're integrated in helping them and them helping you. And I love the fact that Youngstown companies can work together on stuff.
Oh my God, that's what makes it so fun. Just everybody leaning on each other, getting advice from each other. So much better than, I don't know, from maybe 20 years ago when, there wasn't this much where businesses were working with each other. Everybody was kind of on their own. But it's so much better when you're, all working together towards one goal, because ultimately that's what we're all doing here.
All right, so here we've got palletized cans of your product here, probably more than you were able to fit in the garage or the B&O station, I'm assuming, right?
And then, we have more beers. Like you saw, there's our Penguin, our YSU Penguin can, the Pale Ale, the Oktoberfest was our first seasonal.
Are these kegs? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, that's our cold room. So this is our cold storage room, and that's where some of our beer is stored, because some people want to buy beer cold. So we have half of our beer in the cooler, half of our beer out, because some places request beer that's room temperature. They don't like the moisture on it. This is the production. You're starting to see the production area. This is the back of the production area where you do all your packaging. So the tanks on the right are bright tanks. Those are conditioning tanks. So when the beer's done with the fermenting, they get transferred into the bright tanks, that's where it carbs. So conditioning is like carbing. And then once that's ready, back there is where they do all their kegging and canning.
And those funnel-looking tanks there?
That's the fermenters.
Okay, gotcha. And then the ones way in the back with the pressure gauges on them? Yeah.
Those clean the tanks.
Okay.
That's a machine that they use to clean out the tanks. So yeah, there's the crew.
Getting it all ready?
There's the crew. Our kegs.
All right.
That's our canning machine.
That's the canning machine there?
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, it's that's where the magic happens.
All right. And that little machine there?
That's the keg washer. So that's where they wash all the kegs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Dope. We help her out.
Or palletized cans.
Yeah, we got lots of cans. We got lots of cans. And then that's the lab. That's getting set up. Well, we have it set up. They just have to move that in there. But that little black room there, that's where the lab is. We had a lab put in. So that checks just that the beers, there's no wild yeast. There's, where you won't get over-carbonated beer, making sure there's no bacteria. It catches it when you're in the brewing process. So it's really cool. It ensures, because we're going to be brewing a lot. So you don't want to have a bad batch. And then you send it out into all these grocery stores, especially with us distributing. It's going to go, now we're going to start going into Cleveland and Columbus. So that's so hard to keep track if something happened to the beer. So this way we're able to know beer's good. We could package it. We could safely know that it's going to be fine. Because it's easier to do that here. Like if something overcarbonated, we could be like, okay, hurry up and do the switch. But this way, everything's good.
Now, I watched Richie light up about this little room here. He seems so excited about this part more than any other.
Yeah, because like all breweries have issues. They do. Like I've talked with other breweries. There's wild yeast, or that would be like if some wild yeast is left in a tank or something, and then you're brewing, and then it activates with the other yeast, and then you can it. It could still be fermenting in that can, so then it could just explode.
Okay, so quality control and chemistry, and Richie putting on his white lab coat and going nuts.
It. He's been saying he wanted a lab from like the very beginning, because it just gives you that rest assured kind of everything's good. Because I mean, beer's unpredictable. You have to make sure that your brewery is super clean. Like I think when people come into brewing, they think, oh, we just brew. It's probably 80% cleaning, like 20% brewing. I mean,
you have machines dedicated to the cleaning process.
They're always cleaning.
Yeah.
I would say when you walk in there, if you frequent our place a lot, they're most likely cleaning than brewing at Penguin. But that's just how it is.
Now, when you go into R&D mode where you're creating a new concoction, a new flavor, a new taste, is that happening in the lab area, or is that done somewhere else?
No, that happens in the brewery side.
Okay.
They have a little pilot system that they experiment and try out different beers. So a smaller system.
The sacks and what are we looking at here?
That's where all the grain. So the grain's gonna shoot into the little mill that's on the left. So that's where all the grain gets loaded in. It gets loaded in these big totes, because to brew like that size, you instead of like, see on the right those little bags.
Yeah.
Before we had this, they would have to open up those bags and like hoist them up over their shoulder into. So it's really it's a lot of work, like getting all those grains. So we did it like this, where it's a tote system where you put it on a forklift, and that's all that they need. Then it goes through the mill, and then it shoots into the other mill in the back, and then it goes into the tank.
You've done everything right, honestly. I mean, that's the thing that stands out the most, is you guys didn't like cut corners on it. You did it the way that I think it should be.
No, we did not. Believe me, we did not. We did everything by the book and how the best way to do it. And these are the fermenters. We have 4 60-barrel fermenters.
Man, that's a lot of liquid.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, I could tell you case-wise, probably like 800 cases of beer for like one 60-barrel fermenter. I don't know how many kegs that would be, but cases that you need to know.
Capacity-wise, do you know how much you're going to be spitting out of there per day?
It just depends. I know we could do 240 a month, 240 240 barrels a month, possibly more. On average, we could probably make it go more, but I think on average it's like 240 a month.
Nice.
There's the hot side, so that's where you're making the beer. So that's where all the ingredients, that's where you do all your boils. Everything comes together.
Right.
And this smaller system that you're looking at in the front here is the pilot system. So that's a smaller version of the bigger system, and that's for all the taproom beers.
Okay.
We didn't want to take, like, the big system is for distribution. So we wanted the tap room to be like its own thing. So we did a smaller system. That way it doesn't affect like, oh, we have to stop and brew something for the tap room where you're only brewing a little bit, because Penguin has to be a lot. So this way it separates it, which is nice. So yeah, this is the tap room. It's a lower level, which I like. I like how the layout is. I like how the brewery sits up top.
Right.
It kind of it's how I envisioned it. when I walked in, I said it. The brewery has to sit on top, almost like that's the stage. Like, that's the entertainment. Like, when you walk in the brewery from the tap room, your visual is a stage of tanks. And that's how we wanted it to be. Because, I mean, that's why you're there, for the beer. Our tables, those are fun. We thought that would be just a fun way to just reach out to all the people that we, just worked with or that worked on this project. A lot of the contractors, because they were all saying, like, could we do something? So we, actually, like, when we would go to the Elmpton or Sunrise, I always love looking at those tables with all the ads on it.
Yeah.
It's something, I don't know. My grandma used to take me to the Elmpton all the time for chicken and pizza. I would always stare at those ads. And so there was just a little like, yeah, that's fun. Because it kind of felt like just a little old school. Because I will always like see those ads on like certain bars, Struthers or like Warren. So I thought that was kind of cool. So it just kind of all worked out with that.
So now we see the lockers. Where did the idea for the lockers come from?
Well, I always wanted to put lockers in. It was just really hard to find. And then the foreman was working on another warehouse. And he was like, the owners of this warehouse want to throw them away. And he was like, do you want them? I said, please, God, bring them. Because they're expensive.
Yeah, right.
They're very expensive. We looked at salvage yards, and then we had some leads. Like, some people were like, I have lockers. Do you want them? It never worked out. So when he was like, do you want them? I said, oh, yes. So and they're it says like Republic Steel on them.
So cool.
They're so fun. So we're thinking of doing a beer club, and that would kind of be like a top tier. And I think there's like 48 lockers. So it would be maybe like a lottery. Like if you want, like we would pick your name, and for a year you'd get, a locker for a year. Because people are like, I want a locker. Like, how can I get a locker? Can I rent the locker? And we're just like, okay, maybe we should make this part of the beer club. And how fun would it be? We could put things in it like once a month, like you get something. So we're playing around with that idea.
That's cool.
Of like, get a locker. Have a locker for a year. I'd use it.
Heck yeah. Get your name on the front. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I think people would use it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got the bar. This bar is beautiful. Like, I don't know who designed it and built it, but it's got that industrial feel and the wood grains. It's amazing looking.
Those Crow's cabinets. That was kind of, we told him what we were looking for, and he kind of put that whole concept together. We love it. I mean, I love it. Yeah, I love the wood with the metal. Just like looking at the history of our building, I wanted to mix metals. I wanted to bring wood just because of just like what I've heard of what was on the property. Like one of the very first things on the property was a lumber yard. So I like bringing like a wood element to the space.
This episode has been brought to you by Youngstown Computer, the Valley's technology company. Call 330-259-7278. We are here for all of your technology needs. 330-259-7278, or you can find us at youngstowncomputer.com or on Facebook, Facebook/Youngstown Computer. So behind the bar, I see there's more stainless steel tanks back there. Is that what you alluded to with your R&D stuff?
Those are serving tanks.
Okay.
So they're 10-barrel serving tanks. That is when the beer is done brewing or when it's fermented and ready to go. We can put those into these serving tanks and then serve them. That way in the tap room, we're not like, those are going to be our top selling beers. Like Penguin, like just for an example, like Penguin Light. We go through so many kegs in the tap room. So this way you just fill up this serving tank. It's 10 barrels. That way we're not switching out kegs a lot. And plus it's fun to look at.
Heck yeah. They're beautiful. And you get fresh beer.
And
fresh
and it's
beer.
going to just condition like in those tanks. So yes, it's going to come out really good. And, yes, super fresh. So yeah, we'll always have like probably our three, the core ones like Penguin Light, Pale Ale, And then the fourth one will be like whatever seasonal we have. Like right now it's Oktoberfest. Because that's right now our top selling beer at Penguin. It like beat the light. Usually our light's the top seller, but Oktoberfest has been killing it.
It's my favorite. Like it really is.
People love that one.
For sure.
I told Richie, I said, I don't know what you put in that, but people really like that one.
If
Like,
you
I
make
don't
it seasonal,
know.
I'm going to be mad at you. Or I'm going to have to stock up and,
Oh my
because I really
God.
like it.
Yeah, I was really happy with that one because we're getting women, men, like just everybody, or just like I don't usually like Oktoberfest, but I really like that one. Or it's exciting. We just got the TV. That was what you saw when we above the door. It's like 300 inches. It's like we got 4 projectors. It's like 4 projectors, and they did some stuff where it all shows on one. I don't know the tech.
Richie and I were geeking out on that yesterday, by the way.
Stuff of all that. But I just like even when we were going over this tap room, I just kept saying it like whatever we do, we have to have a large TV. Have to. It's that just will just that community feeling, that vibe, everybody watching something, whether it's a football game or a movie or whatever it is you want to show, like we needed to have that. It was just so important. So the fact that we were able to get that in before football started, because like it was down to the wire.
Right.
They were setting up. We had the Ohio State game on like September 2nd or 3rd, whatever, it was over Labor Day weekend. Dan, who was setting it up, was seriously setting it up until right when they were at the kickoff. And there was no volume, and he's sweating.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
And they're just like, where's the volume? And he's sweating. He's like, it was hilarious, but he actually did it. Like we had volume as soon as they kicked the ball, volume went on, and we're just like,
that.
oh my God, it's a miracle.
All right, tell everybody where to find you, social media, what the address is, all that kind of stuff.
We are at 460 East Federal Street in downtown Youngstown. The tap room is open Wednesday through Sunday. Wednesday and Thursday we're open noon to 10, Friday and Saturday noon to midnight, and Sunday 12 to 5. But if there's a Browns game on at 4:30, we'll stay open till 8.
Beautiful. Aspasia, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so much fun.